Please support original content by liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you like a sequel, make a comment, or if I get 50 likes, I will make a sequel. My reborn CEO wife turned me into her personal assistant. The first time my wife gave me a $1 million business idea, she was half asleep, looking just as beautiful as the day I married her. Wearing a fluffy pajama onesie with bare ears. And here she was arguing with our orange cat. "Sir Pancake, that's my fry." The cat ignored her. Because Sir Pancake does whatever he wants. I stared at them both. My wife and my cat. And now my disappearing French fries. Then Emma casually said something that changed my life. "Buy the building across from your office." I blinked. "What building?" She yawned and leaned against my shoulder like a sleepy marshmallow. "The ugly gray one." "That's very specific." Sir Pancake suddenly slapped a fry off my plate and ran away with it. Emma pointed lazily after him. "See, even Pancake agrees." "That cat agrees with everything involving food. You spoil that cat," she poked my cheek. "Trust me." Then she fell asleep. Still holding a French fry. Normally, I would ignore financial advice from someone who fell asleep mid-sentence while wearing a pajama onesie shaped like a giant bear. But my wife isn't normal. Because once told me she used to be a legendary CEO in her previous life. As crazy as it sounds, she proven it time and time again by being correct. And somehow she remembers everything. 3 years ago, Emma woke up, stretched, and calmly announced, "I think I used to run a billion-dollar company." Sir Pancake was sitting on the table licking butter off a knife. I stared at my wife across breakfast. "You mean like a dream?" "No," Emma said, eating cereal. "In a previous life." Sir Pancake knocked over my coffee. I cleaned the table while staring at Emma. "You're serious?" "Yes, you're telling me you were a CEO in your past life." "Correct, a billionaire CEO." She tilted her head. "Technically, the company was worth $8 billion. I rubbed my face. "Emma, yes." "Did you hit your head recently?" She sighed dramatically. "You never believe me." "That's because what you're saying sounds insane." Sir Pancake meowed loudly like he was judging us both. Emma pointed at him. "See, Pancake believes me. That cat believes in chaos." Eventually, Emma explained her past life. Apparently, she was known in the business world as something terrifying. The Ice Queen CEO, investors feared her. Competitors hated her. Employees whispered about her like she was a corporate ghost. "What made you the Ice Queen?" I asked. "And you would understand why I would think that's so funny. You, the woman who hates to leave the house." Moving in for a kiss on the top of her head, Emma thought about it while scratching Sir Pancake's chin with a smile. "I once fired someone for breathing too loudly." "Okay, yeah, that's a little terrifying." She nodded. "I also banned meetings longer than 10 minutes. That part I respect." She shrugged. "I worked too much in my last life." "How much?" 4 hours of sleep a night." My jaw dropped. "That's illegal." "I died at 38. The room went quiet. Sir Pancake jumped onto Emma's lap. She hugged the cat lazily. "Stress is bad and I was lonely." "I am sure, no kidding." She leaned into me wearing her fluffy onesie. "That's why I have a new life goal," lifting her arm up to show off a muscle that not there. "And what's that, honey?" She yawned. "Easy, I refuse to work ever again. I just have you do it all." Emma's plan for life is simple. Step 1, marry me. Someone she met in her last life that had a crush on her but she did not have time for right before she passed. My face had flashed though her eyes. Step 2, make me successful. Step 3, lastly, be lazy forever. She explained this plan while lying on the couch in her pajama onesie. Sir Pancake was sitting on her stomach like a king. With a gleam in her eye she said, "I'm be your mentor," she said. "And you're my husband. So that means you work." "That's not how marriage works," I protested. She shrugged with a cute wink. "It is now." Sir Pancake meowed like he supported her. "Traitor, at the time I was just a low-level analyst at a boring real estate company. Bad salary. Endless spreadsheets." But Emma started giving me advice. She always did it while doing something completely ridiculous. One day she was lying upside down on the couch wearing a penguin onesie. Sir Pancake was sitting on her face. I complained about my boss. Emma said, "Your company is about to get acquired." I laughed. There's no way. 3 weeks later, the acquisition happened. Another time I was worried about investing my savings. Emma was trying to steal Sir Pancake's toy mouse. "Don't buy tech stocks this month," she said. Why? Market correction. 2 weeks later the market crashed. I stared at her like she was a wizard. She just shrugged. Corporate patterns. My career started improving quickly. Too quickly. Every time I had a problem, Emma had a solution. How do I impress the board? Talk about long-term property inflation. How do I negotiate this deal? Make them think it's their idea. How do I handle this difficult client? Raise the price. Raise the price. They respect confidence. She was always right. Always the scary part. She gave advice while doing things like watching cooking shows, playing mobile games, arguing with Sir Pancake, wearing increasingly ridiculous animal onesies. She never opened a laptop. Never researched anything. Yet she knew everything. The night everything changed then came the night of the gray building. I came home exhausted. Emma was on the couch wearing a giant fluffy fox onesie. Sir Pancake was asleep inside the hood. "How was work?" she asked. "Terrible," she patted my head. "Poor husband. I have to analyze every property near our office." Emma suddenly sat up. "Every property?" "Yeah, even the gray building across the street. That one especially." Sir Pancake stretched and stole a fry. Emma grabbed another one and said something that changed my life. "Buy it." I blinked. "What?" "The gray building. It's falling apart." "Exactly, why would I buy that?" Emma yawned. "Because the city council will approve a metro station there in 8 months. I froze. "What?" She shrugged. "I remember the urban development plan. That plan isn't public." "It will be." Sir Pancake knocked over my drink. Emma didn't even look at him. "If a metro station appears there, property value will triple." She smiled sleepily. "Good investment." Then she fell asleep. Sir Pancake curled up on her head like a tiny orange crown, leaving me with $1 million decision. The risk: I didn't sleep that night. Buying that building would cost everything I had. Savings, loans, everything. If Emma was wrong, I would be bankrupt. But if she was right, I looked over at her sleeping peacefully in her fox onesie. Sir Pancake was drooling on her face. "How are you so calm about this?" Emma murmured in her sleep. "Because I'm right." 8 months later the news exploded. The city council approved a new metro line. Guess where the main station would be built? Directly across from my gray building. Investors started calling me nonstop. Developers, real estate funds, corporations, everyone wanted the property. The offers were insane. Triple, then 5 times what I paid. I ran home in shock. "Emma." She looked up from the couch. She was wearing a dragon onesie. Sir Pancake was sleeping in the tail. "Yes. You were right. Of course. People are offering 5 times the price." She smiled proudly. "Good, good. That means my retirement fund is working." "Your retirement fund." She hugged my arm happily. "You're doing great, husband." Sir Pancake meowed like he approved. The problem with success: soon the board started noticing me. Investors wanted meetings. Executives wanted my opinion. My boss looked at me like I was a genius. Then they asked the question, "How do you keep predicting these opportunities?" I panicked. I couldn't exactly say. My wife in a pajama onesie and our orange cat are secretly running my business strategy. So I said the safest thing. I discuss every decision with my wife. The board members looked impressed. "Your wife must be an incredible strategist." I swallowed. Yeah, at that exact moment, Emma was at home. Wearing a unicorn onesie. Eating chips. Arguing with Sir Pancake about tuna. Then the board said something terrifying. A week later, my boss called me into his office. "The board wants to meet your wife." My soul left my body. What? They believe she's the real mastermind. I imagined Emma in a boardroom. In a unicorn onesie. Holding Sir Pancake, insulting billionaires. This was a disaster. Tell them she's busy. They're offering a consulting fee. How much? He showed me the number. I nearly fainted. When I got home, Emma was on the couch. Sir Pancake was asleep on her head again. Bad news, I said. What happened? The board wants to hire you. Emma blinked slowly. Then she asked the most important question. How much? My reborn CEO wife turned me into her personal assistant. Part 2: The board meeting disaster. The problem with having a genius wife is that eventually people want to meet her. And the problem with my wife specifically is that she refuses to stop wearing pajama onesies in public. The morning of the meeting, the board meeting was scheduled for 10 o'clock a.m. At 9:40 a.m., my wife was still asleep. On the couch, wrapped in a giant panda onesie, Sir Pancake, our orange cat, was sleeping on her face. Emma, I whispered. Nothing, Emma, still nothing. Sir Pancake opened one eye and looked annoyed. Emma. She finally groaned. What? The board meeting is in 20 minutes. She squinted at me. Why? Because you agreed to consult for them. Oh, right. She sat up slowly. Sir Pancake slid off her head and landed on the couch like a lazy potato. Emma scratched his ears. Pancake, we're going to a meeting. The cat blinked, then jumped into her hood. He liked riding in the hood. I sighed. Emma, you can't bring the cat. She looked at me like I had just suggested something illegal. Of course I can. This is a corporate board meeting. Exactly, that's not a reason. She stood up and stretched. The panda onesie had little ears on the hood. She looked like a sleepy cartoon character. You're not wearing that, I said. She looked down. What's wrong with it? It's a pajama onesie. She shrugged. Comfortable executives make better decisions. The car ride 10 minutes later, we were driving to my office building. Emma was in the passenger seat, still in the panda onesie. Sir Pancake's orange head was sticking out of the hood. People are going to see you, I said. Emma shrugged. Let them. They are billionaires. Good, that doesn't help. She looked at me calmly. Relax, you're going to terrify them. Sir Pancake meowed like he agreed. The boardroom was the most intimidating room in the building. Huge table. Floor-ceiling windows. 8 executives worth more money than I could imagine. They were already waiting. My boss whispered nervously. Your wife is here. Yes, is she ready? Technically, the doors opened. Emma walked in, wearing a panda onesie, with an orange cat in the hood. The room went completely silent. One of the billionaires slowly removed his glasses. Another executive leaned forward. Is that a cat? Sir Pancake stared back at them like they were beneath him. Emma waved lazily. Hi, nobody moved. Finally, the chairman stood. Mrs. Emma, she said. She walked to the chair at the end of the table and sat down. Sir Pancake climbed out of her hood and walked across the conference table. Nobody stopped him. They were too confused. The first question, the chairman cleared his throat. We've heard remarkable things about your strategic insights. Emma nodded politely. Thank you. Sir Pancake knocked over a pen. No one reacted. The chairman continued. Your husband's property investments have been extraordinary. Emma yawned. Basic urban development forecasting. The executives looked impressed. One of them leaned forward. Then perhaps you can help us with a problem. Emma shrugged. Sure, he slid a folder across the table. Our biggest competitor is trying to acquire 3 properties in the North District. Emma opened the folder. She scanned the documents for about 3 seconds. Then she pushed it back. Don't worry about it. The executives blinked. Why not? Those properties are worthless. The room exploded with whispers. The chairman frowned. They are planning a large commercial project there. Emma scratched Sir Pancake's chin. No, they aren't. How can you be sure? She looked at him calmly. Flood risk. Silence, she pointed at the map. Look at the drainage lines. The executives leaned closer. Emma continued casually. That entire district floods every 12 years. They look shocked. But the city approved the construction plans. Emma smiled. They'll regret that. Sir Pancake stepped on the map. Emma continued patting him. Give it 2 years. The second question, another executive spoke. If that project fails, our competitor could lose hundreds of millions. Emma nodded. Yes, are you certain? Very. Sir Pancake sat directly on the paperwork. Emma gently moved him aside. Then she said something terrifying. You should short their company. The entire room froze. Shorting a competitor was an extremely aggressive move. The chairman narrowed his eyes. That is a very serious recommendation. Emma shrugged. I used to do it all the time. The executive stared. What do you mean? Emma froze for a second. Then she coughed. In my previous career. Technically not a lie. The cat incident. Just then Sir Pancake jumped onto the chairman's laptop. The screen went black. Everyone gasped. The chairman stared at the cat. Sir Pancake stared back. Then he sat down on the keyboard like he owned the company. Emma calmly lifted him. Sorry, she placed him back in her hood. The cat immediately fell asleep. One executive whispered, Is the cat part of the strategy? Emma thought about it. Yes, nobody questioned it. The final decision. After another 10 minutes, Emma had solved 3 major corporate problems. Without opening a laptop. Without standing up. Without removing the panda onesie. Finally the chairman leaned back. Mrs. Emma, yes. You may be the most unconventional consultant we've ever hired. Emma smiled. Thank you. He nodded slowly. But your insights are extraordinary. The executives all agreed. Then he asked the question I was afraid of. Would you be willing to work with us long term? Emma looked horrified. No, the room went silent. She hugged my arm. I retired. But your strategies, she shook her head firmly. I already have a job. They looked confused. What job? Emma pointed at me. I manage my husband. The executives slowly turned toward me. One of them whispered, That explains everything. The new problem. When the meeting ended, my boss pulled me aside. He looked shaken. Your wife is terrifying. I know. She solved problems our analysts have been studying for months. I know. And she did it while wearing a panda onesie. I know. He looked at me seriously. The board believes she's a corporate genius. My stomach dropped. That's bad. He nodded. They want to offer her a permanent strategic position. I imagined Emma's reaction. The onesie. The cat. The laziness. This was going to end badly. When I told Emma that night, Emma was on the couch again. Now wearing a shark onesie. Sir Pancake was inside the hood. They want to hire you permanently, I said. Emma froze. Absolutely not. They're offering an enormous salary. She covered Sir Pancake's ears. I refuse to work again. But she pointed at me. That's your job. Sir Pancake meowed in agreement. Then Emma smiled lazily. But if they want my advice, yes. She hugged my arm. They can hire you. I blinked. What? Emma grinned. I'll just whisper the answers. Sir Pancake purred. And that's the moment I realized something terrifying. My wife wasn't just lazy. She had just turned me into the CEO while she stayed home wearing animal pajamas. Part 3: The rival company discovers my wife. The biggest mistake I ever made was telling the board that my wife helped me with decisions. Because once rich people believe you're hiding a genius consultant, they start trying to steal her. My new job. 2 weeks after Emma's legendary Panda Onesie board meeting, my life completely changed. The board promoted me. Not just a small promotion either. I became head of strategic development. Which basically meant bigger office, bigger salary, way more responsibility, way more stress. Meanwhile, Emma's life stayed exactly the same. She still spent most of her day watching cooking shows, stealing my snacks, wearing ridiculous animal onesies, arguing with Sir Pancake, and somehow, she was still secretly running my entire career. The morning strategy meeting. One morning, I came downstairs before work. Emma was sitting on the floor, wearing a yellow duck onesie. Sir Pancake was inside a cardboard box. She was staring at 3 documents on the coffee table. "Good morning," I said. She didn't respond. That meant she was thinking. Emma only looked serious when she was analyzing something. Otherwise, she was basically a sleepy marshmallow. "What are you looking at?" I asked. She pointed at the papers. "The property acquisition list from your board." "Oh yeah." The company wanted to purchase several large buildings across the city. Emma tapped one location. "Don't buy this one." "Why?" "Bad foundation." I blinked. "How do you know that?" "Construction records from 12 years ago." "You memorized construction records?" Emma shrugged. "I used to run a global corporation." Sir Pancake jumped out of the box and landed on the papers. Emma moved him gently. "Also this one," she continued, pointing at another property. "You should buy this immediately." "Why?" She smiled slightly. "The land next door will become a hospital." "That's not public information." "It will be." Sir Pancake knocked over my coffee. Emma didn't even look. The suspicious investor. Later that day, something strange happened. During lunch, my boss called me. "You need to come to the conference room." "Why?" "We have visitors." Visitors are never good, especially in corporate offices. When I walked into the conference room, 3 people were waiting. Expensive suits. Cold expressions. My boss introduced them. "This is the investment group representing Hawthorne Capital." My stomach dropped. Hawthorne Capital was our biggest rival. Their CEO was known for being ruthless. One of the men smiled. "We've heard impressive things about you." "That's nice. We're curious about your decision-making process." My brain immediately screamed, "This is a trap." The man leaned forward. "Your recent property acquisitions were remarkably precise." "Just research," I said quickly. He nodded slowly. "But we've also heard rumors." "Oh. What rumors?" "That you receive advice from a very talented consultant." I laughed nervously. "Everyone has consultants." "Yes," he said calmly. "But yours seems special." The room suddenly felt very quiet. He slid a document across the table. On the paper was a photo of Emma walking into the office building, wearing the panda onesie, with Sir Pancake in the hood. My soul left my body. "They found her," the man smiled. "Your wife, correct?" "Yes, she attended the board meeting recently." Briefly, our analysts reviewed the meeting minutes. I tried to stay calm. "What about them?" "They were impressive." He leaned closer. "We would like to speak with her." My brain immediately imagined Emma's reaction. She would probably say something like, "Sounds like work." Then refuse. "She's not interested in consulting," I said. The man nodded slowly. "Everyone is interested in the right price." The offer. Then he said a number. A number so large, I nearly fell out of my chair. "We are prepared to offer your wife this amount for exclusive consulting." My boss nearly choked. Even I had to sit down. That number was ridiculous. It was the type of salary CEOs made. The man smiled calmly. "All she needs to do is advise us on strategic investments." I knew exactly what Emma would say. But the scary part, they weren't wrong. Emma's brain really was worth that much. Maybe more. When I told Emma that evening, I rushed home. Emma was on the couch again. This time wearing a giant hamster onesie. Sir Pancake was sitting inside the hood like a tiny orange emperor. "Emma," I said. "Yes." "Hawthorne Capital found out about you." She blinked slowly. "What?" "They want to hire you." "No, they offered an enormous salary." She blinked again. Then she said something shocking. "How enormous?" I told her the number. Emma sat up. Sir Pancake slid off her head. "That's a lot of tuna. You're not seriously considering this." She looked thoughtful. I hate working. Yes, but that's a lot of tuna. Sir Pancake meowed loudly. He clearly supported this plan. The Ice Queen appears, then Emma suddenly became very quiet. Her expression changed. I hadn't seen that expression in a long time. The lazy, sleepy Emma disappeared. And for a moment, I saw the person she used to be. The Ice Queen's CEO. She picked up the photo Hawthorne had given me. Interesting, what? They're testing us. What do you mean? Emma tapped the paper. Hawthorne Capital doesn't need my advice. Then why offer the money? To see how valuable I really am. She smiled slightly. That means they're scared. I blinked. Scared of what? Emma looked directly at me. You of me. Yes, Sir Pancake jumped onto the table again. Emma scratched his chin thoughtfully. They think you're a strategic genius. That's because of you. Exactly, then she leaned back into the couch. And just like that, the terrifying Ice Queen vanished. Sleepy Emma returned. Her genius plan, so what do we do? I asked. Emma yawned. Accept their meeting. What? Relax, you want to meet them. Yes, why? Emma grinned mischievously. Because I'm bored. Sir Pancake purred. I stared at her. You're going to mess with $1 billion investment firm because you're bored. She shrugged. Entertainment is important. The meeting with Hawthorne Capital was scheduled 2 days later. At a luxury hotel. Emma spent the entire morning deciding which onesie to wear. I can't believe this is happening, I said. She held up 2 outfits. A dragon onesie or a dinosaur onesie. This is a serious business meeting. Dinosaur it is. Sir Pancake jumped into the dinosaur hood. Emma nodded. Perfect. Meanwhile, what we didn't know was that Hawthorne Capital's CEO was watching everything. Inside a private office across the city, he looked at the security photo of Emma, a woman in a dinosaur onesie. With an orange cat. He frowned. Is this really the mastermind behind their strategies? One of his analysts nodded. All data suggests she is. The CEO leaned back. Interesting, then he smiled coldly. Let's see how dangerous she really is. The meeting that will change everything. As Emma and I drove toward the hotel, she was eating snacks in the passenger seat. Sir Pancake was sitting on the dashboard. Emma, I said nervously. Yes. Please don't start a corporate war. She looked thoughtful. No promises. Part 4: The Dinosaur Onesie Corporate War. The problem with my wife meeting our biggest corporate rival is that she treats billionaires the same way she treats our orange cat. With casual disrespect. And snacks. The luxury hotel meeting Hawthorne Capital had booked an entire private conference suite. Everything about the place screamed money. Crystal chandeliers. Mahogany tables. Floor-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Then Emma walked in. Wearing a bright green dinosaur onesie. Sir Pancake's orange head popped out of the hood like a tiny king. The executives from Hawthorne Capital froze. One of them blinked slowly. Is that a dinosaur? Emma waved politely. Hi, Sir Pancake jumped onto the table. Nobody stopped him. He immediately began investigating a plate of expensive sushi. One executive whispered, Is the cat coming to the meeting? Emma sat down. He's my assistant. The room went silent. The rival CEO, a moment later the door opened again. The real boss of Hawthorne Capital entered. Tall, sharp suit. Cold eyes. The type of man who looked like he'd never laughed in his life. This was Victor Hawthorne. He studied Emma carefully. Then his gaze moved to the dinosaur onesie. Then to Sir Pancake, then back to Emma. You're the consultant. Emma nodded. That's me. Victor slowly sat across from her. You're not what I expected. Emma shrugged. People say that a lot. Sir Pancake stole a piece of sushi. Victor watched the cat silently. Then he turned back to Emma. I've reviewed your husband's investment history. Emma leaned back in her chair. And Victor folded his hands. Statistically impossible. I nearly choked. Emma looked bored. Luck happens. Victor shook his head. Not this consistently. He leaned forward. I believe you are the one making those decisions. Emma smiled slightly. Maybe. The test. Victor slid a thick folder across the table. Let's test that theory. Emma opened the folder. Sir Pancake immediately sat on the paperwork. Emma gently moved him aside. Inside were blueprints, market reports, property data. Victor spoke calmly. This is our next major development project. Emma scanned the pages for about 5 seconds. Then she closed the folder. It will fail. The room went silent. Victor raised an eyebrow. That was very fast. Emma pointed at the blueprints. Your construction timeline is unrealistic. One of the executives frowned. Our engineers approved it. Emma shrugged. They are wrong. Victor watched her carefully. Explain. Emma tapped one page. Supply chain delays. Another page. Labor shortages. Another page. And your projected rent prices are unrealistic. The executives exchanged uneasy glances. Victor remained calm. Interesting. Emma leaned back. Cancel the project. The room exploded. One executive slammed his hand on the table. This project is worth $600 million. Emma shrugged. Then lose $600 million. Sir Pancake knocked over a water glass. Nobody noticed. The real trap. Victor finally smiled. A cold smile. You're very confident. Emma smiled back. You asked my opinion. Victor tapped the folder. That project is already under construction. Emma blinked. Oh, the executives leaned forward triumphantly. Victor spoke slowly. So if you're wrong, yes. We lose nothing. Emma thought for a moment. Then she laughed. Not a normal laugh. A short, quiet laugh. I recognized it immediately. The Ice Queen laugh. Interesting, she said. Victor's eyes narrowed. What is? Emma leaned forward. You're not testing my intelligence. Victor didn't respond. You're testing whether I'm dangerous. The room went quiet. Emma smiled sweetly. So let me answer that question. Sir Pancake jumped onto the blueprints again. Emma scratched his ears. Then she said something terrifying. You should sell your company. The executives exploded. Victor remained silent. Sell the company, one of them shouted. Yes, are you insane? Emma shrugged. Probably. Victor finally spoke. Why would we sell a highly profitable corporation? Emma pointed at the window. Because the market is about to collapse. Silence. Victor's expression finally changed. Explain. Emma stretched lazily. Commercial property values are inflated. According to who? According to reality. Sir Pancake meowed dramatically. Emma continued calmly. Within 3 years the market will drop 40%. The executives started whispering nervously. Victor watched Emma closely. You expect me to believe you can predict a market crash? Emma shrugged. I did it before. Technically true. Just in another life. The moment Victor realized, Victor leaned back slowly. His eyes narrowed. Then he said something unexpected. I read about you. Emma froze. The room became very quiet. Victor continued calmly. Years ago there was a CEO known as the Ice Queen of Strategic Investment. My heart nearly stopped. Emma said nothing. Victor smiled slightly. She predicted 3 major market collapses before they happened. Sir Pancake jumped onto the table again. Victor ignored him. That CEO died suddenly. He studied Emma carefully. But your thinking patterns, his eyes sharpened. They are identical. Emma yawned. Coincidence? Victor stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed softly. Perhaps the real victory. Victor closed the folder. Your advice is fascinating. Emma shrugged. Take it or leave it. Victor stood up. I believe we're finished here. The executives looked confused. That's it. Victor nodded. Yes, he turned to Emma. I look forward to seeing your next move. Emma waved lazily. Have fun losing $600 million. Sir Pancake knocked over the sushi tray. The meeting ended. After the meeting in the car, I stared at Emma. You just started a corporate war. She shrugged. I warned them. They think you're the Ice Queen CEO reborn. Emma leaned back in the seat. Sir Pancake curled up in her lap. Technically I am. That doesn't help. She smiled lazily. Relax, how can I relax? Emma patted my head. You're about to become CEO. I nearly drove off the road. What? Meanwhile, back at Hawthorne Capital headquarters, Victor Hawthorne watched the meeting recording. Emma the dinosaur onesie. The orange cat. The terrifying confidence. Victor leaned back slowly. Then he smiled. If she's right, one of his analysts spoke nervously. About the market crash. Victor nodded. We're in trouble. He looked at Emma's photo again. Then he said quietly, find out everything about her. And that was the beginning. The moment my wife decided to mess with $1 billion corporation, the entire business world started paying attention. And the worst part, Emma didn't care. Because when we got home, she immediately changed into a sloth onesie. Then she fell asleep on the couch. Sir Pancake curled up on her head. While I sat there realizing something terrifying. My lazy wife had just started the biggest corporate war of the decade. And somehow, I was the CEO in the middle of it. Part 5: The Lazy Queen and the $1 billion collapse. 3 months after the dinosaur onesie meeting, everything Emma predicted began to happen. Slowly at first. Then all at once. And the scariest part. Emma wasn't watching financial news. She wasn't reading reports. She wasn't analyzing data. She was lying on the couch wearing a sloth onesie. With our orange cat sleeping on her head. The first signs it started with a phone call from my boss. Get to the office now. When your boss says now, you don't ask questions. You run. When I arrived, the entire executive floor looked like someone had set off a financial alarm. Analysts were running between offices. Phones ringing nonstop. Screens filled with red numbers. My boss pulled me into the conference room. Hawthorne Capital just canceled 3 major development projects. My stomach dropped. 3. Yes, those same projects Emma had mocked during the meeting. What happened? I asked. My boss lowered his voice. Construction delays. Supply chain issues. Labor shortages. Every problem Emma predicted. Exactly, the panic begins. Within 2 weeks the real estate market started shaking. Major developers froze projects. Banks tightened lending. Investors started pulling money. Financial news networks began using terrifying phrases like market correction, asset bubble, commercial overvaluation. Meanwhile, Emma was at home. Watching a cooking show. Eating popcorn. Sir Pancake was trying to climb inside the popcorn bowl. Emma, I said when I got home. Yes. You were right again. Of course. The market is crashing. She nodded. 3 years early though. 3 years early. She shrugged. Markets panic faster now. Sir Pancake stole a piece of popcorn and ran away. The board's emergency meeting. 2 days later, the board called an emergency meeting. This time they didn't ask for Emma, they demanded her. She predicted the market crash, the chairman said. We need her guidance. My boss looked at me. You should bring your wife. I imagined Emma in a boardroom again. In a onesie. With Sir Pancake, are you sure? The chairman nodded. At this point, we trust her more than our analysts. Convincing Emma. When I told Emma, she was wearing a giant strawberry onesie. Sir Pancake was sleeping inside the hood like a fluffy orange crown. They need your advice, I said. Emma groaned. That sounds like work. It's important. She rolled over dramatically. I retired. The entire market is collapsing. She sighed. Fine, then she held up a finger. But only for 10 minutes. The legendary board meeting. The boardroom was more chaotic than I'd ever seen it. Executives looked exhausted. Financial charts filled the screens. When Emma walked in, everyone stood up. Even the chairman. Emma waved awkwardly. Hi, Sir Pancake jumped onto the conference table immediately. Nobody stopped him. At this point, everyone accepted the cat. The chairman spoke urgently. Mrs. Emma, the market is collapsing faster than expected. Emma sat down. Obviously, one executive leaned forward. What should we do? Emma thought for exactly 3 seconds. Then she pointed at the screen. Sell everything. The room froze. Everything, someone whispered. Commercial property. Construction projects. Development loans. But that's half our portfolio. Emma shrugged. Then save half your company. Silence, the chairman swallowed. If we follow this advice, we'll lose billions in assets. Emma leaned back in her chair. If you don't follow it, she pointed at the screen. You'll lose the company. Sir Pancake stepped on the keyboard and changed the chart. Nobody noticed. The decision, the board argued for 20 minutes. Emma fell asleep after 10. Actually fell asleep. Right there in the chair. Sir Pancake curled up in her lap. Meanwhile, the board debated the biggest financial decision in company history. Finally, the chairman stood. We're following her advice. Half the executives looked horrified. The other half looked relieved. The chairman turned to me. Your wife may have just saved our company. Meanwhile, at Hawthorne Capital. Across the city, Victor Hawthorne watched the markets collapse. Exactly like Emma predicted. One of his analysts spoke nervously. Our exposure to commercial developments is extremely high. Victor's jaw tightened. What about the projects she warned us about? The analyst looked pale. They are already losing money. Victor slowly closed his eyes. For the first time, he realized something terrifying. Emma hadn't been guessing. She had been certain. The billion-dollar mistake. 1 week later, the financial news exploded. Hawthorne Capital announced massive losses. Their construction projects stalled. Property values dropped. Investors panicked. The company lost over $1 billion in market value. Meanwhile, our company survived. Because we sold everything early. The board started calling Emma something new. Not consultant. Not strategist. They started calling her the lazy queen of corporate strategy. Emma hated the title. Sounds like work, she complained. The final surprise: one evening, my boss invited me to dinner. Just me. No Emma, no Sir Pancake, that was suspicious. Halfway through the meal, he cleared his throat. The board made a decision. My stomach dropped. What decision? They want a new CEO. I nearly choked on my drink. What? The previous CEO is retiring after the market crisis. My brain started racing. Then he said the most terrifying sentence of my life. They want you. I stared at him. Why me? He smiled. Because every major decision you've made for the past year, he paused, has been correct. I immediately thought of Emma and Sir Pancake and the couch. When I told Emma when I got home, Emma was wearing a giant penguin onesie. Sir Pancake was sleeping on her stomach. They want me to be CEO, I said. Emma opened one eye. Oh. She stretched lazily. Congratulations, that's it. She hugged my arm. You'll do great. I don't know how to run a company. Emma poked my forehead. Yes, you do. No, I don't. She smiled mischievously. I'll whisper the answers. Sir Pancake purred loudly. The truth, and that's how I became the CEO of a billion-dollar company. Not because I was brilliant. Not because I was ambitious. But because my wife, a reborn Ice Queen CEO, decided she was too lazy to work again. So she made me do air instead. Even now, when investors ask how I make such perfect decisions, I give them the same answer. I always discuss it with my wife first. They imagine some mysterious strategic mastermind. They picture a powerful executive woman working behind the scenes. They never imagine the truth. Right now, Emma is lying on the couch, wearing a panda onesie again. Sir Pancake is sleeping on her head. And she's yelling from the living room. Hey. Yes. Buy the office building next to the river. Why? Future Tech Campus is a buy. Are you sure? She threw a pillow at me. Of course I'm sure. Sir Pancake meowed dramatically. And that's when I realized something important. Being CEO isn't actually my job. My real job is being the personal assistant to my lazy genius wife. End of story.